Bet you didn't know this. Dan Hurley, head coach of the University of Connecticut Huskies basketball team, national championship basketball team, is a Bengals fan. Told you. I bet you're surprised. He tells us why. He gives 3 distinct reasons why he's a Bengals fan, and he still is to this day. He's all over Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. And when you hear him talk about what basketball has meant to him, to his family, to his life, it's really unbelievable. He's a special guy. He coaches his players hard. He coaches them hard out of love, and they get results. You're going to like Dan Hurley after you hear his podcast. It'll be impossible not to. I know I do. Or did you make a smart decision today to tune into In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, because we have ourselves a gem. What a guest we have. Head coach of the national champion, University of Connecticut Huskies, Mr. Dan Hurley. Coach, we certainly do appreciate your time. I know it's valuable for you carving some out for us. Can't thank you enough.
Yeah, I just hope I don't hurt you with your Xavier and Cincinnati crossover fans. You could lose some downloads on this one because I don't have that many collegiate friends there.
Oh, I hear you. But I'll tell you that it's what led you? I understand you're a Bengals fan, Coach. Where'd that come from? How did that all occur?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of different components to it. Really, it was. First, it really was 3 things. First game I ever saw that, at least consciously as a child, of NFL football was that Chargers Bengals game, the Freezer Bowl. Yeah, and I was drawn. Obviously, the helmet. You're a little kid, so tiger stripes. But then also too like when the Bengals ran out, it was like. It seemed like mostly just pads, jersey, and when the Chargers came out, it was Parker's, Scully's, hats. And being from Jersey City, I'm like, I like those guys. They seem tougher. And then I'm lefty, so Boomer coming in and being drafted and being from Long Island, that there was the connection there. And then really the third piece was the one college job that my dad almost took. As a high school coach over the course of his 50-year career at St. Anthony, he almost took an assistant job with Pete Gillen at Xavier. And that was the one time where he considered it, and he got us all excited about potentially moving to Cincinnati. So that was the perfect storm.
Man, that's great. The Freezer Bowl, that's a memory. I mean, I ran around for over 3 hours out there, Coach. Couldn't break a sweat. That was brutal. That was like, didn't even come close to breaking a sweat, man. It was unbelievable.
Do you think about that Super Bowl, Dave? I mean, how often do you think about those goal line situations?
I just go through every snap of the goal line stand. It's like, oh man, if only this, if only that, if only if. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Now, wait, talk about tough. All right, 2019. Disc surgery, replace 2 discs in your neck. You get artificial discs in your neck. You return to work in less than 2 weeks. That's tough, Coach. What the heck? I mean, 2 weeks after surgery, you're back at work. What's up?
Yeah, I didn't miss a practice too. Actually, the recruiting period started maybe about 3 days after my surgery.
Really?
And the Final Four most outstanding player, Adama Sanogo. I was actually at his high school with the sutures in my neck, and there was a little bit of blood that was still on but I knew I needed to get that guy. And against doctor's orders, I was in like Elizabeth, New Jersey, in like an old gym securing a commitment. So,
wow.
That's
unbelievable. That's unbelievable. So your dad, you mentioned your dad, 50 years coaching. Bob Hurley Sr., Hall of Fame high school coach. I mean, just unbelievable at St. Anthony's High School. How about you? Your senior year, you guys go 31-1. number 2 in the nation. I mean, playing for your dad and winning a like basically almost a national title, going 31-1, and then your brother Bobby, a great player there, and national championship at Duke. You win a national championship at UConn. Your son's playing for you on that national championship. I mean, you guys are the Hurley family is the first family of basketball. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's it's amazing, really. Just I'd say growing up in Jersey City, it's like it's critically important. It's a tough place to grow up, and you got to be a tough person, to succeed there, and to accomplish things beyond there. And basketball, since as early as I could remember, has been like the central part of my life, and our family's life. It was something that was such a huge part of our identity. And when you grow up in a family like mine, it's you become very comfortable, in pressurized situations and in super competitive environments, because for me growing up, there was just constant comparisons after any game I ever played. It was, well, how would that compare to how Bobby would have played, which is a tough comp. Bob's maybe the greatest point guard ever to play college basketball. And then every game I've ever coached, there's been, a comparison to Bob Hurley Sr., one of the greatest coaches of his generation at any level. So, I think I was the perfect fit for the UConn job when it became open, a couple of years back, because you got to have thick skin here. You got to be tough-minded individual, because on the other side of the building, I got Gino Auriemma, who's won 11 national championships. Right. And I followed Coach Calhoun, who's got 3, and the standards are as high as they could be at this place. So definitely the Hurley background, man, in Jersey City. This job suits me.
It's amazing. I mean, I can only imagine what it would be like to win a national championship with my son on the team. Very few fathers get to experience that with their sons. What was it like winning the national championship with your son Andrew as part of the basketball team at UConn?
Yeah, I would say, going through going through the whole journey, it's like, even, we get off to an incredible start, and then we can't get out of our own way in January. Just having, my son Andrew with me, it had like a settling effect. I don't want to say a calming effect, because people see me on the sideline and the last thing they think is calm. But
I love you, Coach. I love you, man.
But yeah, I mean, just to, you sacrifice so much in coaching with your children and your wife. You miss a lot of things. So to have him on the team and to be around each other every single day now, I missed so much when he was in grammar school. I missed so much when he was in high school. To kind of go through the emotional ups and downs, the suffering, the joy, those cool moments right before tip-off, where we share a joke, or or he's picking me up after a tough loss, or going into a big timeout. He's coming over, tap me on the back. We got this, old man. Like that stuff. Plus I got him in all 6 games in the NCAA tournament because we smoked everybody. So that put me in a good spot at home with my wife Andrea. Like, the food was so good for like that next 10 days at home, man. I ate like a king.
So, Coach, Bobby, your brother, great athlete. You're a great athlete yourself. My question is, Melissa, your sister, growing up with 2 brothers like that, how good an athlete is Melissa? She has to be pretty darn good.
Melissa's a good athlete. I think it's like my dad pushed, Bob the hardest and the furthest. And then, I think, it was intense. And I think, he probably backed off a little bit off of me. And then Melissa, he was like, you know what, I think I'm done. So she was a heck of a softball player.
Really?
Yeah, she didn't play so much of hoops, but she was a really good softball player. And then she just became like the team big sister, like St. Anthony just became, so much a part of our family's identity that, like my mom was the scores keeper. And then my sister became like, number one fan / big sister. So, but she was a good athlete.
It's incredible because I can vividly remember the TV shot of your dad, Bob Sr., and your brother Bob Jr. in the stands watching you win a national championship. I mean, that family perspective. I mean, it got to me, I mean, I've got a couple of brothers that played sports, and I just know how important it is in families like that. That had to be an unbelievably special moment for everybody.
Yeah, it is. And it was, and, you still process a lot of it too. You're so busy after you win it. You're doing all, a ton of media and White House, you're doing all this crazy stuff. And you don't have enough time to kind of just like sit and think and process it. But a lot of what you think about for me over the course of the last couple of months is how much that meant to me, just, as a man, as kind of the youngest of us. You always are striving for your older brother's approval. You're always, as a man, you want your dad's approval. You want to finally feel like, you proved yourself in a way,
Yeah.
Because of how elite they were in my playing career at Seton Hall. I it was disappointing. I wasn't as good as I should have been. But having a moment when you're 50 years old and you finally feel like you get the approval of your big brother and your dad, that was a moment.
You mentioned Seton Hall. You're a point guard there, so you're the quarterback of the whole. So you're like a coach on the floor, and your coach was PJ Carlesimo for your first 3 years. How big an impact did PJ have on you? I mean, your dad obviously massive impact on you, not only as a coach but as a dad. But how about PJ?
Oof, incredible impact in terms of like from a coaching standpoint or from a basketball standpoint or for just being successful. I think what I learned from PJ is like understand what your identity is and perfect that. Like whether it's your team as a coach, understanding that identity and don't let them stray from it, or just as you as an individual, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and play to those every single day in everything you do. I mean, 3-time NBA head coach, had Seton Hall on the cusp of winning a national championship, which is, I don't know if they've been to an Elite Eight since PJ's left, or even a Sweet 16, maybe one. That's how incredible PJ was. But I mean, the blessing of playing for two of the best to ever do it at the high school and college level is amazing.
You mentioned that you had some tough times during the course of the season last year, your national championship season, but when you had to play your best, you want to play your best at the right time of the season. You guys were playing your best at the right time of the season. There is no question about that. You just got off the court here recently, just finished a practice. What's the club look like this year, Coach?
Yeah, it's we worked really hard this summer. I think maybe even more so than any summer we've ever had, because I think you're so dialed into any cracks in your culture that are caused by complacency, and the complacency of winning the national championship. So, I've probably been more maniacal in practice, more demanding, more intense, and we have a very talented team. I think our starting five has a chance, I think, to be as good as any starting five in the country. We've got shooting. We've got veteran players. We've got potential lottery picks. I think our whole season is going to come down to, can I build that depth? Can I build that bench where we could go 8, 9, potentially even 10 deep, which was why we were so fresh in March and so hard to beat in tournament play. Obviously, got a little bit beat up, in the Big East, but the Big East will do that to you. It's the best conference in the country for college basketball.
The Big East, and then non-conference next year, 23-24 schedule. So Indiana, Kansas, North Carolina, Gonzaga. Tournament, you're either going to play, I think it's Texas or Louisville, depending on what takes place. I mean, Coach, who don't you play, man? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, right. It's like, and it wasn't, as great as the brand is at UConn, right? 5 national championships the last 25 years, which I think Duke's got 3, Kentucky's got 2, right? So like when you think about brands, the first brand that you don't think about is usually UConn, but we've won the most trophies,
Yeah.
especially recent history wise. And we weren't really able to get those like super appealing non-conference games until we won it. And then all of a sudden, all right, you got Carolina at the Garden, you're at Kansas, Gonzaga in Seattle,
Amazing.
Kansas. Yeah. So, yeah, it's exciting, and it's the benefit. It's like when it's like our Bengals when we weren't very good. We weren't playing too many games on national TV on Sunday Night Football and whatnot. So now, we get those big games because we won the big trophy.
You're right, Coach. We're playing at 1:00 on Sunday every game. It's like, man, when are we gonna taste a little bit of the drink some of that good wine? And you're drinking a lot of it now.
Yeah.
And the thing you mentioned the word culture, and honestly, if I had to pick, a word that would state why this football team has had the success they've had in this run, winning back-to-back division titles, and since the AFC North has been formed in 2002, nobody has ever won 3 in a row. So the Bengals could be the first to do that. Culture. You mentioned that word culture. Man, the culture with this organization, with this team is as good as I've ever seen it. I mean, it is second to none. That's what seems like you pride yourself in that as well.
Yeah. What are they? What is that? Culture eats strategy for breakfast or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I feel like when we go to the games, we're up 5-0, maybe 6-0 because of how hard we play. Because of how unselfish the people are that we bring into the organization, the preparation, the commitment, the fact that we don't lie, we don't cheat in recruiting. So people come to us because they want to be a part of our culture. They come, they visit, they spend 48 hours with us. They love the way we train. They love the way, in a real old school way, that our players here allow us to coach them and to coach them really hard and to get the most out of them. And, they allow us to be truth tellers in their lives. But we work really, really hard at the relationship that we build with our players and we build with their parents so that we can be honest with everybody about where the growth has got to occur, where the improvements got to occur. And, for me, it's, I want people when they watch our team play, when a player goes down the court, to see 4 players sprinting over to pick them up. I want to see the most live bench cheering for each other that you'll see the whole season in college. I think, when we get on an airplane, I want to get an email from the flight company talking about how great a gentleman we have. So to me, that means as much as the trophy.
Coach, you're coaching them not only in basketball, but you're coaching them in life. I mean, when kids leave your program, they're ready to go out there and make contributions to the world in life. That's really what it's all about too, right?
Amen. And I think when you're in high school, you still have the college coaches or the university as kind of a safety net, but really, your college coaches and the education that you're going to get through sports in human nature, human behavior, what leads to success, what leads to failure. I mean, this is like the last line of defense, I guess, in terms of people that are going to prepare you for the next 50, 60 years of your life. Like you go to the Knicks or you work at Apple or you get a job, teaching or working at UConn, you better be equipped to know everything that you need to know about yourself, and your habits and behaviors need to be in line with what it's going to take to be successful in work, to be successful in relationships, to live a happy, productive life.
I know what it's like. You achieve a level of success, and it's like, oh man, that was so hard to get that championship or get there. And then you look at the dynasties, like the Wooden dynasty in college basketball, the Lombardi dynasty in football. I mean, it's like there's no seat at the top of the ladder of success. I mean, you're climbing it one rung at a time. You get there, everybody's trying to knock you off, man. There's no seat up there. So winning it is one thing, but sustaining that level of success like you're doing and have done, that's unbelievably difficult, man.
Yeah. And, it didn't feel, I think maybe if you'd say like in the moment, incredible feeling. But that didn't sustain very long. Like you very quickly do get your mind wrapped around how badly you want to experience that again, and then like you get this thing with your team, and just from running through that tournament like that, you there's this feeling you have about the people that you do that with, that you want to feel that way about another group of men, and experience that whole thing. And so I would say I was about to say I didn't like this. I'm not a normal person. So like I didn't stay on cloud nine very long. I got my sights set on winning the next one and trying to get that feeling back. And if anything, I'm just glad that I'll be able to go into the season probably with more confidence than I've ever had as a coach, because if you've never gotten over the hump and I think maybe you carry a burden of pressure, and then maybe your team becomes uptight, and and you've not kind of gotten over the hump. I think my team's moving forward are going to even be more dangerous because my whole organization now knows that we can do it.
My first line coach with the Cincinnati Bengals was a gentleman named Bill Tiger Johnson, who was our head coach for a period of time as well. And I adored the guy. I mean, he was like, man, he was everything to me. And he said, after I made the team the first year as a rookie, he sat me down. He goes, Dave, I'm going to tell you something, man. He goes, you should try to do this as long as you can. Congratulations on making it. Try to do it as long as you can. He goes, because I'm telling you, you will never, ever have another job where the camaraderie and the feeling for each other and the team together, it's never, ever going to be like it is in sports, in any other business, any other walk of life. And man, was he so right. And it's so unique, isn't it? I mean, the bonds are forever. I mean, I'm forever friends with guys that you go to battle with, and it sounds cornball, but man, it's so unique, that feeling.
Yeah, and that's probably, I'm sure there's a lot of things that you could do with your life post football, but your love of being a Bengal, and you're still a part of it, and you're still so close to the locker room and the players and the competition. But that tribal feel, obviously the highs of winning, experiencing that with a group, the celebrations, the suffering together, and having to dig your way out of it and show your resilience and doing that with a group of men and just, I mean, striving for a common goal, and even the coming up short part of it. I mean, just striving for things with a group of like-minded people. I just don't think there's anything like that feeling of community and what you mean for each other in your lives, and the memories you'll have, and obviously how you rub off on each other. It's like players' personalities and coaches I've coached with. I've like kind of adopted that, different lingo, and you just become a creation of all the men that you've kind of like served with on teams.
Coach, let me wrap it up and get you out of here on this. And again, I just can't thank you enough for the time that you've given. And I feel like I've learned a bunch just by spending this time with you, Coach. Man, you're just pearls of wisdom. Unbelievable. Let me ask you this.
Come on, Dave.
All right, goal setting. Are you a guy? Are you a pie in the sky goal setter guy, or are you a guy that has intermediate goals along the way, and pretty soon again you're climbing that ladder of success and you're getting there one rung at a time? Then all of a sudden, boy, you've reached it. How do you handle the goal setting side of things in your life and your profession?
Yeah, listen. I think you'll hear the great coaches talk about process. And Nick Saban, process. Focused. I'm really process focused in terms of the way that you coach, right? The buildup of drills and fundamentals and techniques, to live play eventually, which turns into tactics and so very process driven that way in terms of developing my team. I thirst and have a real thirst for to become a master of coaching and all the different aspects of it, from player development to relationship building to to the tactical part of it, to the psychology and motivation, to the marketing, like this thing, to the recruiting. There's so many aspects of being a great coach that you're never going to master, but I chase that mastery in reading, listening to podcasts, watching anything that I could devour online about the great coaches and leaders. So for me, it's like I coach in my mind. I've got 2 chips on my shoulders, like I've never won anything. I think that's just a mentality that I have from where I'm from and what my dad stood for. But yeah, I mean, I when I was at Rhode Island, I think my mindset was like, let's be the best program in the Atlantic 10, and let's advance in the NCAA tournament. I think those were like goals I had for our program. So we carried around trophies of the Atlantic 10 everywhere we went, and big posters of the NCAA tournament round of 32. When I got the UConn job, I put away, obviously those type of trophies, and it's all been about pursuing a national championship. And now it's about, pursuing multiple ones. And for me in my career, I wanted to be an elite coach, before I got here, and now for me personally, I want to be a Hall of Fame coach. So I'm going to work my ass off to make that happen.
Coach, you're elite, and there's no doubt in my mind you're going to be a Hall of Fame coach. And 2 things that all the great coaches that I had at every level of sports, when I look back on it, there were 2 things that all of them had. They cared about their players, their fellow coaches. They cared about people. And man, like you talked about, you don't lie, you don't cheat. Trust, man, implicit trust. I mean, all the great coaches I had, I could trust them with everything and anything, and I think those 2 things are big, and that's what you're all about, Coach. No doubt about it.
No doubt, man. It's when you give when you give the greatest gift you could give your players, and and that's your time, right? Like the amount of time that we invest in them on a daily basis, and that true love for them to absolutely reach their potential. It leads to a unique relationship. So when you see me, coaching these guys, as intensely as we do here at UConn, it's there's so much love and there's so much family behind that.
No doubt.
Later, Dave. It's an honor, man. Thank you, brother.
It was my distinct pleasure and honor. You're the best. Have a great year, man.
Who dey? Don't boo me when I come to. Hey, if you go at the game, don't boo me when I'm in Cincinnati. All right?
No way. I'm with you.
Later, man.
Dave Lapham
Have a good one.
And every day, I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.